Hello, everybody. My name is Lee McQueen, and I'm once more talking about the 2016 primary race as a citizen of this uh, great nation, which can be exceptional once more if we elect Bernie Sanders president. And hopefully, we'll see something like that happen on the next and very last Super Tuesday, which is coming up. I've decided that I wanted to try to explain to Hillary Clinton supporters the reason for their frustration with Bernie Sanders supporters, that they've been, in some respects, attempting to persuade, to lobby, and then in other respects to browbeat or bully, and then even going so far, some of them, to terrorize Bernie Sanders supporters into supporting Hillary Clinton. And the frustration that I've been seeing a lot of times online, and then with even the punditry of the mainstream media, who really should make an effort to be fair and unbiased and objective in their reporting, but quite a few of them have shown their hand in that they are very much trying their best to get Hillary Clinton elected for president, and have actually participated in some unethical behavior in order to make that happen, or try to make that happen. So there's a lot of frustration where people just don't understand the appeal behind Bernie Sanders, who came from way behind in polling to match Hillary Clinton step for step, and then without a lot of the voting malfeasance that's occurred in several states, and then borne out by exit polling, and then testimony by poll workers and secretaries of state, without certain aspects of malfeasance, of suppression and fraud and purging and closing of polls and things like that. Bernie likely would have surpassed her long ago, starting with Iowa. But anyway, I'm gonna try to explain it, because the frustration and the anger and the rage coming from Hillary Clinton supporters is sad to see. Um, why do people support Bernie Sanders? Um, he has exhibited in his 32 years of public service to the American people the characteristics that they are seeking in a leader. He's trustworthy, he's consistent, he's persistent, he's knowledgeable on the issues. The same person that he was basically 40 to 45 years ago, he's basically the same person, only with more wisdom and experience and expertise from having spent 32 years in elected office. But even before he was in elected office, he showed that same courage, the willingness to stand up for what was right, even when it was unpopular. People have viewed Bernie Sanders' record and have been very impressed by his legacy, which is vast. He came from the margins in the corners of Congress and the Senate to emerge as a nationwide and then even a worldwide leader. If people are still trying to figure out the reason why, it's likely because they look at Bernie Sanders and see someone who's role modeling, they want to strive to, the example that he's shown everyone of ways to be, ways to stand up, ways to be courageous, even when there are larger powers to fear, that it's possible to stand up and be courageous. People want to be like that. And so when they look at Bernie Sanders, they say, that's the change that I want to see. That's the change I want to be. And then why not me? Why can't I do what he's doing? And so not only is he a leader, but he's also creating leaders. He's creating leaders among fellow politicians. I've spoken of the Bernie cracks, the people who are following Bernie Sanders into office. They want to follow his example. Tim Canova is just one. There's an entire list of Bernie leaning uh, politicians, I say, but really I mean public servants. They want to go into office for the right reasons, not the wrong ones. They want to be like Bernie, and they've endorsed him, and Bernie's endorsed some of them at BernieCracks.net. And so not only is he a leader, but he's also creating leaders. And not even just among politicians. He's creating leaders with ordinary citizens, people who felt powerless and crushed down before he arrived on the scene, to tell them that they have more power than they realize. And if more people could be like him, I think his appeal would be more understood. So he's got a populist appeal. He's got a progressive appeal. There's a need for a sea change in North America. People have not been living the American dream under the two mainstream establishment parties with their mainstream establishment ideals that have been guided by Wall Street and large corporations and wealthy mega donors. These are the people who have been served the past 25 or so years. Well, even maybe starting with the trickle down economics of Ronald Reagan, continued by Bush, continued and expanded under Bill Clinton, and then continued under the second Bush, and then even continued under Barack Obama. We had the bank bailout. They were too big to fail. Why weren't the homeowners bailed out? And so now we've got Hillary Clinton, who's promising more of the same. She said it herself. We're going to continue on as we were. We're going to do the same thing Barack Obama. We might change a little bit incrementally, but basically we're just going to stay the same. And people are not happy with where they are in life. They don't want to stay the same. They want to be better. They want to have progress. They want to move forward into the future. And Clinton cannot seem to find it within herself to figure out how to do that. So people have been turning away from her towards Bernie Sanders. She has not been able to close the deal. Even despite her name recognition, even despite her presence in the public eye for maybe 25 years, even despite her connection to Bill Clinton, her connection to Barack Obama, her dominance within the political arena, where she's got an entire machine that consists of fellow politicians, the establishment, and then also mainstream media. She has not been able to close the deal. And this is part of the reason why. The problem is within her and what she lacks and what she does not bring, and the fact that she just is not and never was a good politician. There are also character issues, but she is just not skilled at leadership. She is not a leader. People do not want to follow her. They're repelled by her. They want to stay away from her. Bernie Sanders gets thousands, tens of thousands rallying to his side. And that says more about him than anything else. The people are who endorse Bernie Sanders, not the establishment. And so I don't know if that's helping to make anything clear, but that's that's what it looks like to me. And I believe that like I said, there's a need for a sea change, and it's almost like what created a need for a leader in Abraham Lincoln to come on the scene. There was an entrenched, morally corrupt, evil slave system operating and driving the economy here in North America. The two parties in power, who were the established parties at that time, did not want to relinquish slavery because it served their own economic interests to keep people in slavery. And it just would not, it just got to the point where people were beginning to wake up to the fact that no, we don't want to do this anymore. Well, the slaves already knew that, but then greater society said, this is not working for us. We don't feel good about this. It's hurting the small farmers economically, and it's just not working for us anymore. And they wanted to stop it. We don't even want it to expand it to the new states that we're adding to the union because it's not economically feasible. And there were fights. Well, there was a civil war to stop it, but that prompted the rise of the third party. And I think we're nearing that again because while we don't have racial slavery, so to speak, we do have class slavery, we have wage slavery, we have debt slavery, we have people who want to buy a home, they want to attend college, they want to get the necessary health care that they need, they want to buy land, they want the American dream. And in order to do that, they've had to sell their futures to either the government or to large corporations, and then they're enslaved economically. And it's getting to the point where people just cannot even function in society anymore. It's getting to the point where the center will not hold. So it's a systematic kind of class-based economic slavery that people find themselves in, and they want a change. And Bernie Sanders has served to wake up people and unite them in this goal. Um, what we've seen is the systematic move of decentralized wealth back into the hands of a few who have become wealthier on the backs of ordinary American citizens. And I think this probably slow shift had its beginning way back in the good old days, but we'll start with the New Deal era in the 30s and 40s when there was a need to pull America out of the morass of the Great Depression. And so the federal government under Franklin Delano Roosevelt created the Great New Deal and managed to put wealth, transfer wealth through jobs back into the hands of citizens. So they were able to buy a house. They were able to buy land, establish their small businesses. They were able to get education at the higher college level. They were able to provide a future for their children, and they passed that wealth to their children. And this is what we would call the greatest generation, the wartime generation. They passed that wealth to their children, who we call the baby boomers. The baby boomers who are the children of the greatest generation. Unfortunately, that wealth that passed to the baby boomers did not transfer to the next generation, which is Generation X. Instead, the baby boomers decided to hold on to that wealth and keep it amongst themselves, and then even go so far as to transfer some of that wealth back up into the large corporations. And so we have not the continued decentralization of money amongst a large group. It started to transfer back into the hands of the wealthy few. And so about that time began, as the baby boomers came of age, began uh, the dismantling of the New Deal step by step. And then we have maybe about the 1980s, we have the rise of Ronald Reagan and trickle down economics that further drove wealth into the hands of the upper echelon of society, saying that, well, they'll give it back, they'll make jobs for you, and you can, and that didn't happen. And then Clinton comes along, and NAFTA, those jobs went overseas. So no wealth, no jobs, no way to get to school, no way to pay for a college education, cuts in education, rise of the prison industry, rise of drug use, no safety net, no welfare. And so by this time, it's Generation X that's coming to age, and they're not seeing the opportunities that the baby boomers had, and certainly not that the greatest generation had under FDR. They're seeing a desert in front of them and some perilous footing trying to cross that desert. Gen Y is seeing more of the same thing. And then finally, we've got the millennials who are coming to age, and they're looking around and they're saying, why are all these businesses in my city closed? Why are these houses empty? Why is there no industry in my neighborhood? Why are there no jobs for me? How am I going to pay for school? How am I going to pay for a home of my own to live in? And there's just nothing. All that wealth that was created, decentralized wealth under FDR, it's been transferred due to a systematic effort by Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton, and then even Barack Obama, and then of course George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, and then on and on and on. They all followed that same rule of let's give the wealth back to the corporations where it still is today. And so we have Hillary Clinton coming along now, who is promising more of the same. And people are saying, well, what more do we have to give? She's saying that it's going to go on like it is. We're going to continue to struggle. We're going to continue to suffer. And so they're turning away from that. And the reason why is Bernie Sanders has woken people up to the fact that they are participating in a rigged economy. The economy is rigged against them. And he's communicated that message effectively. He is a great communicator. He sounded the alarm. People listened, said he's right, tell us more. And so he's telling people, well, the reason why you don't have jobs, the reason why you don't have a living wage, the reason why you can't buy a house, the reason why you can't even afford to start a family, the reason why you cannot afford to own land, the reason why you can't afford a college education, it's the rigged economy. And those are the people who took those opportunities away from you. And this is what you can do about it. And people are saying, well, who's telling me what I need to know about what's going on around me? Who's explaining my status in this world that's so uncertain? It's Bernie Sanders. He's been talking square biz. He hasn't been hiding anyone from the truth. He's saying, yeah, you're in a rigged economy. They stack the deck against you, but this is what you can do to get yourself out of it. So populism and progressiveness, that's what Bernie Sanders has been bringing. If Hillary Clinton could have thought to do that, she wouldn't be struggling to close the deal in her own party. But as it is, she's limited in not being a good politician, not being a good communicator, having a lack of character, having a lack of integrity, having a very horrific public record in terms of votes, in terms of her lobbying efforts, in terms of her willingness to throw any group under the bus in order to continue her access to power, whether it's women. She'll throw them under the bus. I've created a video about that, questioning Hillary Clinton's stance on feminism. She's willing to throw environmentalists under the bus. She's pro-fracking. She's tried to hide it here at home, but all around the world, she's pro-fracking because that's what the corporations want. She's also willing to throw gay communities under the bus. She was against gay marriage before she was for it because that's what it seemed like the social milieu was back then. And she's willing to stomp all over the youth. She's willing to stomp all over our young people and tell them to shh and be quiet and don't get in her way, or even think about having a future because the corporations don't want that, and she's going to do what the corporations tell her. And so they've seen that. We have the rise of the internet. We have social media. We didn't have the internet in the 80s, or at least it wasn't, used commonly by ordinary citizens. But now we have people who are able to communicate and share information and then speak about what happened in the past and put it together with the future and really understand what's been happening in their world. And so I think that's where Bernie Sanders' success has come from. That's what moved him from behind and into the lead at first, until the mainstream media said, oh, we have to stop him. And then a lot of vote rigging happened. So I hope that helps.